prophetic passage pointing to Jesus, but when John showed up, people thought, are you the prophet that Moses talked about? Are you Elijah that Malachi said was coming? Are you the Christ that Isaiah pointed to? John said no to all of the questions that he was asked. Why? Because he was honest. He was honest. I believe that when sharing the gospel, it is important, and you'll see in John's content that he presents, he was very straightforward and honest with the people. He told them the whole truth, not just part of the truth. He told them the good news. Of course, if we confess with our mouth, the Bible tells us, the Lord Jesus, believe in our heart that God has raised him from the dead, we will be saved. That is good news. That's great news. That's the best news I've ever heard. When a person responds to the gospel, they have their sins forgiven, the hope of heaven, a new beginning. That is great news, and I'm going to share that truth because that's being honest with them. But at the same time, if a person rejects the message of the gospel and dies in their sins without coming to Christ, there is no hope of heaven, but of a judgment of God followed by eternal separation from him in hell. That is also the truth. And to share part of the message without sharing all of the message is not sharing all of the message. You're leaving something out. Now listen, I'm not saying, you need to share it in love, of course, but you need to tell the whole truth. If you really tell the whole truth, then you're going to do it because you love that person. John was honest, and when we present the gospel in love, it's important to tell the whole truth. But let me just say this, that there's not a lot of that. There's not a lot of that because the fact is the gospel, it's good news if you believe it. It's bad news if you reject it. It's great news. It's the best news. Hey, there's a way to salvation. But if you reject that message, there's no good news there. It's like, well, he just went to a better place. Not if he didn't accept Christ. He's not in a better place. He's in the worst place imaginable. This is reality. This is what we're dealing with. And sometimes I don't think we understand the reality that hell is real. We don't like to talk about that. That's a downer. That's a bummer. We don't say that. That's not a real place anyway. It's just one big party down there, if there is a down there. And, nobody, and it's like a joke. You know something? You know who is the leader of the Salvation Army, the general of the Salvation Army, what he said that he would do, William Booth, that was his name. And here's what he said. Here's what he wished he could do with every person that he sent out to evangelize in a community. He said that he wished he could take them for just a few moments and dangle them over the fires of hell and then send them out. Because of the motivation that it would create within them. I think sometimes we don't think about that there are people that are on their way to eternal separation from God, and so we withhold the truth. I don't want to say everything because that sounds a little intense, and I don't want to be, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Lord, help us to be loving and truthful and honest with what we present, that it's a real place, and Jesus preached more on hell than he did on heaven, folks, because he didn't want people to go there. It's a heavy thing to consider, and I think it's important, especially in the church today, that we tell the truth. Pastors tell the truth because the fact is we're going to be held accountable for what we say and what we withhold. There are those that preach a very soft-pedaled, I can't even say, and I don't want to be overly critical, but it's not the gospel. And you just think, I don't want to be them when they stand before Jesus and have to answer for that. And so